Good morning. Sterling Chu here at Second Growth Homes at the Mobile Dimension Sawmill. One of our viewers is working to put his Mobile Dimension Model 127 mill together with his brother, and he's been watching some of our videos and using some of the stuff we show in the videos to put his own mill together. That's really cool. So he made a request about a certain part of the mill here, the return roller, and I'm going to describe that in a minute. But what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and I'm just going to give a full overview today of how the upper Feedworks works on the Mobile Dimension Model 127. This is the older belt-driven style of mill. So I'm just going to show how this functions today and all the parts, and then at a later date, later this summer, I'll need to replace belts and basically do like a little rebuild of the upper Feedworks. And when we do that, I'll show you how to take it all apart, put it all back together. So here is the Model 127 Mobile Dimension Sawmill. And these components here, these three belts, levers, speed control, these are what make the mill go forward and come back down the track. So as it is right now, you could start the mill and the blades would turn, the edger blades and the main blade, but the mill won't move forward and aft down the track. So to move forward, you pick up on this lever. When you pick up on the lever, watch those belts. You see those belts? There they go. See them getting pushed up? So there's a roller underneath those belts. So when it's disengaged, nothing over here in the Feedworks moves. And when you engage that roller, the power from the engine and these belts gets transferred to this pulley right here that you can see. Okay? So that pulley drives this little black belt right here, which looks brand new. And this is one of the main feed drive belts. So when this pulley is engaged, as it is right now, and the mill's turning, it'll spin this pulley, it'll spin this roller, and it'll spin this main shaft down here. So the power goes from this roller through to here, and then from this belt, the power turns over to this belt. This belt comes back through this really cool pulley here, and that pulley is what sets the speed of the mill. You've got 5 gears. By moving this handle, pulling it up or down, you can change between the 5 gears. You need to change gears while the mill's moving. So that's the only reason I'm not going to show that to you right now. So the power to this belt, and it goes to this belt, back to this pulley that sets the speed. And what that pulley does is really cool. It separates, or it comes together to make itself larger or smaller to change the speed of this shaft. This shaft spins this belt, which is really the main, I have to check what we call these, but this is like your main drive belt. So after the power gets all the way to here and this belt's spinning, you've got one adjustment right here. And what you do is, it says tighten only enough to pull load. So what this does right there is it puts the tension on this belt. The mill should be that when you engage it and it starts to go down the track, you can grab it here and you can stop it and hold it, and that belt should slip. If you can't stop it, like if it is just pulling too hard, that means you've got that too tight. You want that just as loose as you can so that the mill cuts perfectly. Conversely, if the mill is like stopping and starting as it's going, you'll come up and you'll look, and if it's this belt slipping and everything else looks good, you'll need to tighten that up a little bit. Okay? So forward. Well, when we go to reverse, this roller up here, move the mill forward a little bit. So when we go in reverse, that roller is the one that touches. Bang. Okay? That's the return roller. So the forward roller is disengaged from the belts, and this one engages, and it spins in the opposite direction. Okay? So when this is spinning in the opposite direction, it turns this belt in the opposite direction, power goes to this belt, and the power goes to this belt, and the mill comes back to you. Okay? So that's how it works. It's pretty cool. It takes you a little bit to learn how to set all this stuff up and to get the right pressure on the rollers. You can follow the manual, and the next time that I need to do that process of rebuilding this mill, I'll show you how I do it. So what this other new mobile dimension operator wanted to look at was this part of the mill called the return roller. And I think that some mills don't even have this. And I think that some operators don't use it. And what you have instead is a return block. Let's see, this isn't mine. I'd have to look for mine. I don't use it. But basically, there's a, let's see, I'll have to look around a bit. There's a block that clamps onto the mill, and it will return the mill to you automatically when it hits that block. So if the log ends right there, I would clamp that on somewhere right here, and the mill would just automatically come back. I know a lot of guys who love getting it all set up and using that. I don't use it because with my mill, the track is 30 feet long, and I'm usually cutting shorter length of logs, like 16 or less usually. So what it gives me the option to do is if the mill gets to the end of the log and the board falls over and something's not quite right, or for whatever reason it's just taking me longer to get some of the bark out of the way or whatever, I can just let my mill run down the track a little bit farther, you know, for another 30 to 45 seconds, pull the roller, and it'll come back to me. So I'll show you what this roller does. A lot of the engineering on this mill is really, you know, it's really cool. It's kind of like simple American stuff. This is one of the funnier parts of it, and you know, it's pretty cool. So in essence, what this is this is a roller, just a wheel, and it holds this string on top of it. Okay, we're gonna come back to this in just a minute. We'll show you how this works. So it's just a roller that can spin, mounted on the side of the mill right here, and it's got to have enough string on it to get all the way down there to the end of the mill. And it's spring loaded, which I'll show again in a minute. That long spring there, it's spring loaded so that it always has just a little bit of tension. When you want to return the mill, so the mill's going out, going down the track, going down the track, when you want to turn it, you just grab this and it'll click. The mill will come back to you. So this is one of the funnier little bits of engineering, I guess you would say, on this mill, but it really works. So that string, okay, coming from the rollers, comes to this little piece right here. This is just a triangle of steel with 3/4 inch holes cut out of it. I don't think it's super critical. You could probably make this piece, okay? Triangle of steel, and when you pull this, see, you can go like that. Then there's a connecting rod that goes from here over to right here. Okay, you could make that on any piece of steel, no big deal. So what that does is it flips that rod over like that. If you put the clamp that I was talking about down here and you clamp that on, and I will look for it. I'm sure I have it. I remember it now. It's a block with 3 pins that sits right on here. And I don't think I've used it in 6 or 7, maybe even a decade, but I think I got it. So if you clamp that block here, you could make that too. What happens is as the mill's coming down, the block is kind of shaped like this. So it's like it tapers out, and it'll push this out like that, okay? And it'll do the same thing as if you pull on your rope. Okay, that little rod comes back here, and what it does is it moves this little tapered piece of steel right there up or down. Okay, So I'm pulling this. There's the rod end. And it's pushing up right there. Okay, so when the mill is engaged, the handle sits up here, it's going down, and then when you pull this or put some tension on it, okay, it pushes that little guy up and releases this, and when this drops down, the return roller hits and the mill comes back to you. This is an important bolt here. So this sets the release of the return roller as the mill's coming towards you. So as the mill returns to you, coming along, when it gets to the end, this roller hits this tapered rise, and it needs to come up, take the pressure off, then the mill should come back and stop, you know, somewhere like right about there. Sometimes mine is always a little hot and it always kind of comes all the way back. If it's slamming into the roller, like if it's coming back too fast, you need to tighten this bolt down so that it releases the pressure earlier. If your mill is not returning all the way, it's really bad because this roller will just be lightly rubbing on these belts all the time. You need the mill to come all the way back, and you need that roller to come off the belts so that when the mill's idling, it's not just wearing right there, okay? So that's one of the pretty critical little adjustment bolts. You'll see mine, I've got a little hot right now. I just put all new belts on here, and for whatever reason, she's returning a little hot. So I'll probably change that a little bit. So the roller. It's a roller on the end of a shaft or rod, okay? Then there's a string here, another string, okay? So that string is wrapped around that rod a few times, and then as the wheel goes out, it's going to wrap more and more of the string onto this shaft. That string goes down and connects to this long spring, okay? So as the mill goes down, that spring is pulled this way, and then when it returns, the spring pulls back, and that's what keeps a little bit of tension on your wheel. You have to kind of mess with the tension of it until you get it, you know, so it works. Keeps enough tension that it doesn't put too much slack in the string, and the string will get caught. And then I can't remember what happens if you have too much tension. I think it just, oh, it would automatically return. It was like, it was too much tension, so it would make it return. So that's the gist of how the upper Feedworks and the forward and backward functions work on the Mobile Dimension Model 127. I don't have a Model 128 hydrostatic drive. I'd love to get one. One of these days we'll get a new mill, but basically with the hydrostatic drive, instead of all this stuff, you've just got like a little hydraulic motor driven by the engine off the belts, just like one unit. And then there's like a big handle here that you can go left or right. I think it's the middle is stop, forward, go. The cool thing about the hydrostatic is you have full control of the mill at any point. So you can slow down, speed up, whatever you want to do, stop anywhere during the cut. That's pretty cool. This mill, you got to get it kind of set up, choose your speeds, get everything, and you just let it go down. And that's basically all you can do. You can run up there and kill it. You could run up there and return it, or you could pull this and return it, but you can't change anything after it's going. So I've heard that people really like that hydrostatic drive, but then I've also had people tell me that this is like, you know, at the end of the day, it's a little faster because you just consistently boom, 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 boom. So it works. You got to mess with these belts. You got to replace belts. You got to work on this stuff. But, you know, this has been working for me for 15 years. And it does really work. I'll show you one last thing. So this is a hydraulic cylinder here. Small hydraulic cylinder. So when you let down on this handle to return the mill, it slowly comes down to tighten that belt. I had to replace mine. My old one didn't work, and I kept wearing out my main belts. Then since I got that on there, it works a lot better. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming with me today. In a later video, I'll show you how to rebuild all this entire part of the mill, take it all the way apart, all new belts, all new everything, put it all back together, set it up, align it, and cut. So, If you'd like to see that, please remember to click on the like and subscribe buttons below. And then you can come to our channel and click on the search button and type in mobile dimension, and you'll get all the videos that we've done so far for this mill. If you've got any requests, if there's anything you'd like to see, if there's anything I'm doing that you think might be able to help you out, I really like getting the video requests. It's awesome. So I want to say a big thank you to our viewer that requested part of this video. Anyways, he didn't request all that. So anything you'd like to see, let me know. I'm going to be transitioning to the Wood-Mizer LT40 mill here in the next like 2 days, and I'll do a whole ton of videos on that. And I know a lot of people have Wood-Mizers, so maybe that'll be kind of popular, help some people out. I've been cutting on a Wood-Mizer mill longer than a circular mill, so I've got like 17 years on the bandsaw and then 12 or 13 years here on the mobile dimension mill, so got some time into it anyways. Here's lumber I'm cutting. I got 100 2x4s. I gotta get 20 more. Better get to work. Thanks for coming. Well, there's the beautiful pile of 2x6s, the 2x4s, and we're gonna move on here to cutting 30 pieces, 5/4 by 8 inch, 10 to 12 feet long. What a beautiful day out here. Starting to fall back in the rhythm of it. Getting more done every day. First week at the mill, it's a tiny bit tedious, I'm not gonna lie, it's hard work. But I'm just like absolutely loving it now. So, that's good.